And now, here is Coretta McDonald, Member of Parliament and host of Advancing the Cause.
Well, good evening to you. I have been missing you. I hope you've been missing me too. And so to our viewers who are viewing us from near and far, tell me, how was your day? How was your day? And let me say to us, it's time to share the life. So share this life. Call up your friend, call up your cousin, call up your neighbor. Tell them Advancing the Cause is on. I missed you last week. We had the GTU. We were having our conference, our second triennial delegates conference at the GTU last Wednesday evening. And so I really did miss you. I would have loved to have you on there with me, but it could not happen. Anyhow, we're here this evening and we're going to be talking about some issues that have happened over the last couple of days. It's good to be alive. It's good to be well. And I want to use the opportunity at this time to say sincerest condolences to all those who have suffered losses, are in bereavement at this time. We know one of the reasons, accidents. Yes, accidents. We keep losing lives. And so I want to say to our folks, be careful on the road. Be careful on the roadways. We just had the Mandela Eccles, that part of the road there open, and we had an accident there. We had an accident at Magura Road that claimed a life. We had so many other accidents, and I just want to say to you, let's be careful. Let's encourage each other to be very, very cautious while we're on the road. Sometimes you're there and you're tempted to step on it, but be mindful of the people you have around you. And then we had two young men who lost their lives. The post-mortem is inconclusive, but we want to extend our condolences to the parents of those two young men and their friends. We've had a teacher whose life was snuffed out. To her family, again, we say sincere condolences. And let me give you a little one here. We are still mourning the death of our renowned comedian, Henry Rodney. He's going to be buried on Saturday. And so to his family, we extend the sincerest condolences to you and all other families. And I trust that God is going to give you the kind of comfort you need, even at this time. And so on we go with Advancing the Cause. It's what we do here. It's what we do for our people, our poor and ordinary citizens who don't have a voice for themselves. We are that voice for them. We shout for them when they cannot shout for themselves. We make the sounds when they cannot make the sounds for themselves. We speak for them when they cannot speak for themselves. And yes, I know while you're with me here, we're going to be having a little bit of turbulence every now and again, but that's what happens sometimes when we're on the roadways, when we are in the air and that kind of thing. It happens. So share the live. Share the live. Let your friends know Advancing the Cause is on. And so we're going to start off with our highlights for this evening. We saw earlier today, based on or as a result of the activism by the Caribbean Union of Teachers, that the Ghana Teachers Union happens to be an affiliate of. We saw the CXC, the board of directors there, CSEC putting on hold or delaying the written and practical examinations, and that's CSEC and the CAPE by 3 weeks. And of course, that is as a result of the lost that we did lost in terms of contact hours that we had with our students and teachers across the Caribbean. They felt that it would not have been just to have our children go into exams when they did not get a chance to complete the syllabi and to have their submissions in terms of SBAs. And so CXC, they would have heeded, and we now have 3 weeks delay in that exams. And then as we go on, we noticed just this week, disturbing, very, very disturbing, where we saw the Guyana Police Force charging departmentally that young TSU rank who was filmed asleep while on duty. Now, you know, there are several parts of this story, but we're going to come back to that. We are going to come back to that story. And then we've recognized that the PPP, they installed PPP, they're saying that they have $600 million to spend on roads in Linden, $600 million to spend on roads in Linden. I am hoping that while we are going to be spending those monies there to rehabilitate and to put proper roads in place, that the contractors who are going to be awarded, they're going to be contractors from within that area. I'm hoping that that is going to be, because you know what we've noticed? We've noticed contractors coming from all over, fly-by-night contractors, and they're being given huge contracts. So I'm hoping that not only layman's job is going to be given to residents in Linden or Region 10, but we are going to see contractors from Region 10 being made eligible to get some of these contracts. We cannot, again, let me say this, we cannot talk about a one Guyana when we are only looking at certain sections of Guyana. When we talk about one Guyana, we talk about inclusivity. Everyone, every Guyanese feeling equally treated. So I'm hoping, I'm going to be listening, and I'm going to let you know whether the contracts were awarded to contractors in Linden, even if we have 2 or 1 other contractor from somewhere else. We must ensure that the people in Linden are offered, given the kind of contracts and jobs made available to them. And then as we go further on, we have recognized that the University of Guyana, and thanks to the Vice Chancellor and all others for listening to our calls over the years, we're now seeing that classes are going to be in the evening. So teachers and parents don't have to worry any longer about the children being left unattended, and you know, classes are during school hours, during contact hours. All classes are now going to be after classes in the afternoon. And this is also good news, more good news for teachers, because with classes being outside of working hours, it means that you have to sign no contracts. You don't have to sign those contracts. So we're looking, that is good news for us. And I want to say that this has been an old talk. So with this action coming in being executed at this time, I don't want people to take kudos and feel that this was their initiative, but this has been a talk around for some time now. So teachers are going to be attending university classes after school hours, and it means that contracts are not going to be required for this part of it. And as we continue with education, well, we all know that schools reopened fully as of last Monday. So no more rotation in some instances, full-fledged schools. But with that reopening, I am not sure how much thought went into that, because we have seen all across this country the hiccups we've had and the reports that we have gotten. We have seen overcrowding in schools, which was not catered for. We have we've gotten reports of no running water in schools, non-functional toilets in schools. We got shocking walls in schools. And so this whole idea of reopening schools, again, let me say, it was not a very well thought out idea. If we're going to reopen schools fully, then we ought to have known that with COVID still being here with us, we ought to observe the protocols. And in observing the protocols, we cannot return to schools with 35 in a class, with 28 in a class, with 43 in a class. We cannot return to schools without running water. We cannot return to schools with furniture shortage. And so all of these issues should have been dealt with. We had 2 weeks, we had 2 months, we had long time to do this. And so I want to lay all of this at the feet of the departments of education and the central ministry. Our teachers and our pupils and our students are forced to return to schools that are not prepared. We've seen just Monday, Tugville Secondary had to be closed for 1 week. Well, until further notice, don't let me say 1 week, until further notice. Because we had an issue there since last October, between October and November, where a parent was shocked. And yet you turn up in school on Monday, nothing was done. Nothing was done. So the building, the major part of that compound, the major part that the secondary school is occupying, had to be closed off. And so eventually they had to close the schools because the students could not go into their classrooms. But you know what? It's quite frightening that we still have the primary school operating in that same space. And we don't want to leave anything to chance. So I'm hoping that the Ministry of Education, especially Central Ministry, they are looking at this issue very seriously so that we can put systems in place, have the primary school out. So while we are going to be fixing and removing some of those electrical wires that we're seeing there, hanging around the place, and water under the primary school, water at the back there of the secondary school. The corridors flooded in one section of that compound, that we're going to put proper systems in place. Come on. We can't be jumping around and talking about this and talking about that and what we have done and what we did not do when you are not ready for the reopening of schools. And you know, we should have had persons going out there to check on the readiness of schools. What is happening? People are slackening up. People got to do what they're being paid to do. So education officials, do what you have to do. The safety of our teachers and their charges is important. While we understand that you want to have schools reopen, and you know, like everything else, many times we are just copycats. We see, we want to do, without even putting serious consideration into this. But let's fix those schools. And it's not only Tugville Primary. All across this country, we've had issues, we've had reports of schools being reopened and no proper system in place. Water shortage. We shouldn't have water shortage in our schools. Internet issues. We shouldn't be having those in our schools. When we had enough time to prepare for all of this. We were touting this reopening ever since. So we need to put the systems in place. So at the regional level, let's work to ensure that the school system is in order. And then we have, moving from what is happening in the school system, we move to Sheriff Street, where our residents there, the citizens there, are crying. They are crying. And so the Ghana Police Force, and I don't know whoever else, please get into action. Residents can't sleep at nights with the loud noise coming from music boxes. Too many hotspots down there, and our citizens can't sleep in peace. Too much noise. So get down there and do what you have to do. Ask those folks to turn their music down so that our residents can sleep and they can be at peace at nights. You know, it's quite disgusting when you have to be out at work all day. More than that, it's very disrespectful to our senior citizens that we have living in that environment, who have to be awakened by loud noise. They can't sleep. Come on, folks. We need to think about each other. We need to do things for each other. We need to be concerned about each other. While you want to offer entertainment, do so not at the expense of others. So Mr. Commissioner of Police acting, you and your guys, you have work to do. Do what is right. And then moving on from there, we would have had This issue, oh boy, we've seen Region 7 having a new what? A new maternal child, a new maternal health center, Region 7, some part in Region 7 there, we've seen a new maternal health center. Kudos, our citizens there, our mothers there, they are going to be attended to, their health is going to be dealt with, especially for those who are pregnant. And then we saw, we have here again with us the finance secretary, the finance secretary sending out the alarm, ringing the bell, warning PSs to stop doing advance payments for jobs that are not yet completed, especially when you have to order stuff. Stop paying monies out for stuff that you did not receive. And you know, this is big, 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 big business. Here is where we lend all arms to corruption when we get involved in these practices. And you know what? If we start holding some of these persons accountable, if people are made to feel the heat for their nonsense, then they'll stop it. But like everything else, we've heard the alarm. We're going to wait to see who would not heed the alarm and what is going to happen to them. What is going to happen to those who don't heed the alarm. And then we come now to two of the real stories, that we're going to be discussing tonight. Two of the stories that we're going to be discussing tonight. Now, tonight we have, of course, we don't have a guest tonight, but we have two issues that are really, really heartrending. Two issues that have caused us to have to wonder whether are we living in a real place? Guyana belongs to all of us. And we must all, I will say this over and over again, we must all be treated equally. So now we got this issue with this young lady who was caught with cocaine at the airport. Two other persons were implicated in that whole thing there. Cocaine strapped to her body and cocaine found in four sides of her carry-on bag. But this young lady, I tell you, when you get luck and when you got family in high places and when your association big, all kinds of things happen. But we've seen this young lady being made to undergo psychiatric treatment. And I want to ask the question, was this kind of provision ever made to any other drug mule? Was this kind of provision, was this kind of leverage and leniency ever offered before sentencing? Not that I can remember, but what I know is that lots and lots of young women and men, especially when they would have pleaded guilty, would have been sentenced. What's the difference here? What's the difference here? I mean, nobody could strap anything onto you if you don't stand and allow it. You had ample time to say that you didn't want this to happen. But like I said, when you're associating in high places, when your association big, you get all kind of privileges being granted to you. So we await the sentencing. We watch to see what the sentencing is going to be. We watch to see those who have also been implicated, what their fate is going to be. And then we'll have some more comments on this. But you know what is sad? It is sad that when these things happen, certain sections of society, you don't hear them jumping around. You don't hear all the big comments. But I bet if it were somebody else, you would hear all the comments. And yes, this young lady happens to be the niece of the Minister of Public Service, Minister Sonia Parag. Yes, that's her niece. And so it begs the question. It begs the question. I figure I've got to ask the Honorable Warren McCoy. is whose stuff she was carrying out. Whose stuff she was carrying out there. And you know, it's amazing what greed can do. It's amazing what I don't know. But it seems so casual that you would want to think that maybe this has happened before. This is it's just sickening. And it's alarming the rate at which we're going with all these cocaine fines, all these cocaine fines, all these marijuana fines. Where have we been storing these drugs all the time? Where were they all the time? If we check over the from August 2nd, well, then we had the big one. But if we check from August 2nd to now, we're going to see that this thing apparently had been hatching somewhere. And the hatching, it has reached a stage now where the chickens are out. And they've got to find themselves in places. But I'm happy and kudos to those officers, those canoe ranks that we have there who are very alert and who would do their jobs regardless of who is being implicated. You are doing your job. So kudos to you there at the Timeri International Airport and at Ogle Airport for doing your jobs. And then we come to the issue of policemen and policewomen and how they're being treated. Yes, we know that the state of this country. We recognize how public servants have been treated. Teachers have been treated. Nurses have been treated with disdain. Just the other day, we had Smalley again hitting the shores, making news. And you know, and this kind of callous treatment, this kind of uncaring treatment is moving down the ranks, it's moving through the ranks. And so ordinary citizens now, it seems as if they have no place in this society, they have no calling in this society. What is really happening? We had the young lady who was there on duty at the Singh's residence. She was now forced to resign with immediate effect. Now, you know what is happening there? She now, that young lady is going to lose all her benefits, whatever they were. She's going to lose them because she has resigned with immediate effect, which means that this young lady is being pressured so much that she couldn't take the pressure anymore. She couldn't take the pressure anymore. And this is an attorney who, it is alleged, attacked this young lady, spat on the young lady. And we had to get the cries of loads and loads of persons for the police to actually act and to charge him. Now, I know what will happen, or I should say, I think I know what will happen, and we all know what happens here. Money walks, association walks. But the poor and ordinary people are made to suffer. This cannot continue to happen. We cannot continue to go this way. Our people must be treated equally. I mean, come on. You watch at a young lady, you look at a young lady and you spit on her. You look at a young lady and you call her a monkey, a black monkey to be sides. I mean, why the disdain? Why do we think we can treat people anyhow? And then you want to talk about, oh, that's not, oh, this guy is not like that. It's not how people made him out to be. The fact that you can do something like that, it means you are worthless. You look at a woman and do that to her. Well, I don't know sometimes why I get so worked up, because this is the trend that is being coming down. This is the kind of trend that we have coming down, where men in certain society, in certain gathering, in certain association, feel that they can disrespect women. They can treat women anyhow, and they don't expect to have any outcry from anyone. But let me say to all of us, to those of us who are watching, we have got to speak out when these atrocities are meted out to poor and ordinary citizens. We've got to speak out. We've got to call these people out for who they are. No apologies, I can say to you, none whatsoever, would take away that hurt from that young lady. None. No form of apology. But you know what? They say every dog got its day. Today for you, tomorrow for me. I'm hoping that if that same kind of treatment is meted out to that young man, I hope you can be able to deal with it. If that very same treatment is meted out to some family member of his, if he would be able to deal with it. Now, you don't do things to people that you don't want other people to do with you. And that's why we are here on advancing the cause, so that we can call these people out. INC, you remember there was a man who wrote about call your dogs of war, pull in your dogs of war, something like that. I didn't see any letter from him. I didn't see any letter from him. I didn't see some of these religious people putting their letters out there, you know? But other things, they want to mix and meddle in other things. But again, every dog has its day. And this world is a cycle, you know. This world is a cycle. It goes around. It goes around. It goes around. And nothing in this life, nothing, I can tell you that, nothing in this life goes unpaid. And then moving from that, we have the issue of the TSU rank, that poor young man who was on duty for in excess of 20 hours. For in excess of 20 hours, that young man was on duty. I mean, come on. He's somebody else's son. I wonder where is the Honorable Gail Teixeira. Yes, while you're installed, I'm going to address you as Honorable. I wonder where is she? Because maybe, you know, somebody needs to tap Gail and tell her that young man is somebody's son. He is a son of Guyana. He is somebody's uncle. He is somebody's brother. He is somebody's nephew. But the Guyana police force doesn't see it fit to take the blame that they did not, one, ensure that that young man got relief. They did not ensure that he was fed, but they want to now charge him departmentally for sleeping on duty. I mean, come on, Mr. Commissioner of Police. What has happened to the human side of you? What has happened to the human side of you? In excess of 20 hours, you have a young man sitting there. And you know what? The person he was guarding, or the home that he was guarding, then nothing but heartless. Nothing but heartless. And like my friend Sherrod would say, nothing but trench croppers. I mean, you seeing this young man there, you couldn't offer him some water. You couldn't make a cup of tea to give to him. He is protecting you, or he was protecting you and your family. And that's how grateful you are by filming him and exposing that. You didn't check to see? Come on. Why are we treating our people like this? You know, very soon, our young men would not want to join the police force. Very soon, our young women would not want to join the police force. And I can understand now why certain groups of people don't join the police force or don't join the military. And I can understand why some persons would say, police work, a dog walk. I can understand that. Because when you're expected, or when it is expected, that persons ought to be in sympathy with you, especially for those long hours, they're not in sympathy with you. They're not there. Rather than offering some bit of counseling to that young man. Now, you know, one of the things I was thinking is that when that young man was startled, suppose he had just pulled his gun and start firing, start pulling, suppose he had just lifted his gun and start pulling and pulled the trigger. You know, that might have been another story. Come on, people, we've got to be a little more responsible. We've got to be a little more responsible. And it also leads one to wonder whether that home that young police rank was guarded, whether that home or the family there, whether they're eligible for police guard. Now, you see how many unanswered questions we're having? Taxpayers' monies are just being let loose. We got the Tugville Secondary School where you have water flooding the compound, exposed electrical wire, shocking walls. You're not finding monies to do the repairs there and to remedy the situation there, but you're wasting taxpayers' monies on things, guarding people who are not eligible. I mean, when is this going to finish? When is this going to be stopped? When are we going to stop doing some of the things that we are doing in this country? That's things that are wrong. When are we going to stop doing them? When are we going to start treating Guyanese people like Guyanese people? Regardless of your race, your culture, your color, your creed, your political persuasion. When are we going to start treating our people like real Guyanese citizens? And don't tell me about one Guyana, because we don't have a one Guyana. We don't have that. And you know, all of these things are happening here. And the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just for emphasis, I want to say that. You hear nothing from these ambassadors. Nothing from the guardians of democracy. Maybe they're asleep now. Nothing, absolutely nothing you're hearing from them. But prior to now, prior to August 2nd, you had them loud with what should be happening. Apparently now they've gone deaf, they've gone blind, and they're dumb. So they don't hear, they don't see, they don't understand. They don't see. They're not reading newspapers. They're not seeing on social media anything. These things have got to come to a stop. And my viewers out there, I want to say to us that we have got to rally the troops. We have got to rally our people so that we can shout for those who cannot shout for themselves. We have got to give support to these poor ranks in the police force who are being made to endure all kind of slavish treatment. We cannot continue to allow this to happen. These are our people, these are our servicemen and women. And we cannot continue to allow persons to disrespect them in the manner with which they are being disrespected. We cannot allow them to be treated in the way they're being treated. These things have got to stop. And there comes a time when we must say, enough is enough. And you know what? there's a minister with responsibility, a minister who's responsible for a ministry of labor. You are not hearing anything from him on these issues, none whatsoever. I figure he has recognized that he has outlived this time. He is useless. You know, this is the man who is supposed to be standing there as the mediator. But rather than doing that, he stands with the oppressors to oppress poor and ordinary people. Could you imagine? Yes, I'm going to go off of this to the issue that I want to really get at, where labor is supposed to be coming in. These are the people who have signed on to all these labor conventions, and they're transgressing all of them. All of them. The Minister of Labor, rather than getting in between the Ministry of Labor and the Teachers Union to resolve issues, he went out there to threaten the teachers. Yes. He has gone further now to talk about the trade unions. Trade unions have outlived their usefulness. Well, Joseph Hamilton, let me say to you, you really don't understand your role. You really don't understand your role. Or maybe you feel that your role, you have been highlighted certain stances that you should take, and others that you're not going to take. Well, you know, I could understand. I could understand, because you're not worthy. I could understand, because you gotta be singing for your lunch and your dinner. I understand. But we will not take any of that from you. You know who would have outlived their usefulness. You know what trade unions should do. You know who should be getting younger people into their leadership positions. Why you did not sit down and relax? Why you didn't sit and relax? You should be sitting in a rocking chair, because we want young people to lead this country. And I dare say, the Minister of Labor is not fit to sit in this chair. Yes, let me say it. He's not fit to sit in the chair he's sitting in. Imagine we have started, we commenced Labor Week, Critchlow Week, Sunday last. The Minister of Labor was invited. Not only invited, but he was asked to do a presentation. We're still waiting for him. We're still waiting to see that man, Joseph Hamilton. He was a no-show, but I suspect why he did not turn up there. I really think I suspect why he did not turn up there. And it's so disgusting when you see these folks operate. Imagine we talk about trade unionism in this country. Imagine the statue, the Critchlow statue. That was built there by the PPP. They don't want anything to do with it. You know? So he did not turn up. And of course, the signal was sent out. So the unions that fall under the umbrella body FITAG, they came, two of them came, they came with two wreaths. They just came there to lay the wreaths and they left. I mean, how do we call ourselves trade unionists when we are taking positions? Our workers are suffering and we are taking political positions. How do we call ourselves trade unionists? You can imagine that? They didn't want to be a part of the activity that was going to be had there, or that was held there on Sunday last, where we were paying homage to Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow, the father of trade unionism. They weren't interested in anything there. They just came there, they laid their wreaths, and they left. Why did you come in the first place? Why did you come? What you should have done is maybe come earlier, put your two wreaths in front there, or come after the event and put your two wreaths down there. I mean, this kind of double standard is very, very mind-boggling. And these are people who don't have any shame. And so all through this week, we have been observing Critchlow Week. And so at the level of the GTUC, which is the Guyana Trade Union Congress, we've had several activities from Sunday last. And these are going to go right through to Sunday, the 1st of May, when we are going to end with our May Day parade and rally. But I can tell you what, after having read documents, correspondence, I recognize that this year again, we're going to have this year, 2022. You know, in 2015, we had, in 2016, as a matter of fact, we had such a wonderful rally, workers coming out in solidarity, workers marching across this country in unison. Unison. Workers marching together because the cause that they are advancing is common. We marched and we all ended up at the National Park where we sat there and we listened to the speakers who were identified to speak. And then in 2017, we had the same thing happening in 2018, but then we had 2019 and 2020. 2021, we couldn't have any rally. So we had 2016, 2017, 2018, and I think 2019, we had the one workers rally. But in 2020, 2021, we could not have done that because of the invasion of COVID. I like to say the invasion of COVID. And so in 2022, when I thought that, okay, after COVID came, and we could not have had our rally or rallies and march, that in 2022, we were going to be all excited towards having these rallies and making sure that our workers understand why they're marching, especially the young ones, understand why they're marching. But no, we're going to be having two separate rallies come May 1st, two separate rallies. Hypocrisy to the highest. Hypocrisy to the highest, yes. Where trade union leaders are being politically directed as to how they must operate, what should happen to their members. We have forgotten the sacrifices that were made by Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow and so many, many others. We have forgotten that. And so this year, our May Day parade this year is going to be celebrated under the theme COVID-19, politics, and the working class. COVID-19, politics, and the working class. That's the theme under which we are going to be celebrating our May Day parade this year. And so our May Day activity for this year is we'll have our assembly point, usual assembly point, Middle Street and Parade Ground for a prompt takeoff at 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's providing that we don't have any rain. So we want to assemble there for our 7 o'clock takeoff. And like everything else, we're going to use the usual routes that we've been using over the years. We're going to walk there in our red and white. In our red and white. But if you don't have a white jeans or a white skirt, don't allow that to deter you from coming out there. We want to see you there. We want to have our workers coming out there. So you can come out there in your large numbers. We want to see housewives out there. We want to see those who are self-employed out there. We want to see just about everybody coming out there on May 1 to signal to this illegal regime that as a people, we understand our role, that as a people, we will stand with each other, and we are going to continue to champion the cause that workers' rights must be respected. Workers' rights must be respected. Workers' rights must be upheld. Governance must be of paramount importance, and all must be treated equally and equitably. It is again, let me say, it is disgusting the way we see persons are being treated in this country. And it's not only in one section or one part of this country. All across this country, we are seeing this. All across this country, even in the distribution of kites for Easter, we see the discrimination. Some villages and not some villages. Why? Because y'all just sick. Because you are just heartless. So viewers, public servants, nurses, teachers, and yes, some of our servicemen and women, if you feel so inclined to join us, come on, let's march on Sunday. Let's march and signal to all and sundry that the people, the working people, the poor and ordinary people in this country, that we are united and we are going to stand up and fight against the atrocities that are being meted out to us. We will stand up and fight for our rights. We will stand up and advance the causes, because our people in the 21st century must be treated equally. And this should go without us having to say that. But you know, we have seen a return with full arrogance, full vengeance, and even more vengeance. The PDP, we have seen it. We have seen it in full force. And no one is being held accountable for their actions. No one. So people just feel that they can get up, they can say what they want to say, they can do what they want to do, and they just walk free, and they give you all the talks. But folks, my viewers, my people, we have got to be able to stand up and speak out. It may not be you today, but it could very well be you tomorrow. It may not be you tomorrow, but it might very well be you the next day. And so we have got to be able to look out for each other, to extend that care for each other, so that all that has been said before, it is going to come to a stop. We are going to get to that point where these issues would be a thing of the past. Sorry. And as we're saying this, you know, we have lots and lots of children out there. Lots and lots of mothers out there. Lots and lots of brothers out there. Lots and lots of sisters out there who are going through hardship. Mental illness is on the increase. Again, let me say this. Mental illness is on the increase. And many of our young men and many of our young women and older men and older women, they are crying out for help. They are crying out for help. Could we lend a helping hand? And so I want to find out what's happening with the girl down there, Vindi Prasad. Vindi, what is happening at your ministry out there? What is happening out there? What are you doing for our people? What are you doing to help our people? One life lost by suicide is just too many. Just too many. We cannot continue to have things happen in our. We too small a nation, man. We too small a nation. We too small a nation to allow what is happening here. We got, let me say to us, we have enough monies we have to ensure that we put these kinds of outlets at strategic points where our people can go out and get the kind of help that they so require. And while we're going to put the systems and the services out there, we should ensure that we're not just putting a building or occupying a building or occupying some part, but we must ensure that we have qualified people who can attend to the needs of our people. Qualified persons we want to do what is necessary to help our people. We cannot continue to have our people suffer. We cannot continue to have that. And so I want to say to us, let us ensure that the health and well-being of our people is taken care of. Let us ensure that our people feel wanted. Let us ensure that all citizens feel better tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. Until such is done, we would not be able to sit quiet. And so, viewers, we're coming down to program time. And I want to thank you so much for always being here with us, for always sharing with us the concerns that you're having, because your concern is our concern. And together we are stronger. Together we are stronger. And we would only be able to defeat the evil amongst us if we strive together and advance these causes. Let us look out for each other. Let us allow this beautiful country of ours to be the country with a motto that says, one people, one nation, one destiny. Let us allow our motto to be, dear land of the free, which comes from our national anthem. Let us allow poor and ordinary citizens to have a say in what happens in the affairs of this country, so that all of us would have the privilege of being able to say, I am Guyanese, I am enjoying part of my birthright. I am enjoying what belongs to all of us. And that no one would feel that he or she is less than another. So we're going to stamp out the corruption. We're going to stamp out discrimination. We're going to stamp out the disrespect as we continue to advance the cause. So with that, I want to encourage you to continue to be your brother's keepers. I'll be looking forward to seeing you on Sunday at Middle Street, where we are going to assemble for our May Day rally. And we're going to march through the streets of Georgetown and in other parts of the country where we are going to be having similar May Day rallies. And we're going to shout that the union makes us strong. On that note, I want to thank you again for being here with us. And before I close, let me remind all of us that COVID is alive. So take care, wear your mask, sanitize as often as possible, stay away from large crowds. Do take care of you, and in doing so, you're going to be taking care of others. Let me, on behalf of my colleagues, Vanessa Kissoon, Lesmine Collins, Jennifer Nicholson, express our sincere thanks to all of those teachers who had those X's placed on their ballots. Even while some of our colleagues were not, did not come out victorious, I nearly sounded like somebody there. Hey, yes, even while some of our colleagues did not come out victorious, they are happy with the experience and they have learned. And so we still have uncharted grounds to charter. Thank you again for the confidence, teachers, that you have reposed in me to serve you for another 3 years as your General Secretary. Like I've been doing before, I will continue to be of service to you. I will continue to champion the cause for our teachers, for our boys and girls, for our parents across this country, so that together we can make our country a better country. Together we can be strong, and we will be strong. So long for now. Take care. See you again next week at 6:30. We had a little late start this evening, but see you next week at 6:30 for another episode of Advancing the Cause. May God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching our program. See you right back here, same place, same time. And remember, hold the line of battle, comrades. Our victory is sure.